Hey guys, welcome back to Flirting with Meaning. This might be the craziest episode ever just because of the visuals. And if you're listening, then this means nothing to you. But it is such an overcast day to the point where I had to black out even this window, which I normally don't have to do. And it's weird because I film this at the same time every week 8, 9 a.m. No, 9 a.m. Wait, right now it's 8:46. But it's such an overcast day. And the exposure is crazy. Do you see that? I can't move these curtains because it took me so long to like get it situated, but I just have to keep my head here or else that happens and that's like, are you kidding me? This is a very low budget podcast, as you can see. So I just need to make sure I keep my head here. If I stray away from this area and you see this horrific glare, I apologize. You know what they say, there's no way out but through. So today I wanted to explore one of those paradoxes in life that sounds a little cliche, but when you really live through it, it doesn't sound as corny as it seems. And it's when you need to lose yourself in order to find yourself. It's something I felt deeply at different points in my life. And I think a big part of the journey of life is finding yourself and learning more about yourself, as I've said a million times on this podcast, and just learning who you are and knowing who you are. And you can feel it, when you start to feel a sense of alienation around people you used to be very outgoing around, or when you find yourself not being as interested in the things that used to bring you joy. That's my indicator when I'm losing myself, at least. This happens to me when I start to become very jaded in my everyday life, and it makes me feel like I need to make major changes around me. So I think losing yourself happens when certain situations come about. For example, if you outgrow an old version of yourself, and things that used to resonate with you just don't resonate anymore. Or other times when it's something more negative like a heartbreak, a really bad breakup, or even friendship breakup. But at the same time, also even positive things like when you travel alone. Sometimes when you go to find yourself, you can realize that you never had that strong of a sense of self to begin with, and then sort of lose sense of who you thought you were in the journey of trying to find out who you are. So losing yourself can seem scary, but to be honest, that's where the real transformation starts. Bro, this person needs to get away from me. Can I help you? Can I help you? Guys, this man is pissing me off so... You saw that man, right? Yeah, he was staring at me. He was staring at me. So now, you know what? The glasses are coming on now because that... Like, mind your business. Mind your business. Yeah, I'm recording alone in my car and you can mind your business. Unless you're subscribing and watching, mind your business. Like, hello? Yeah, my windows are tinted, but I see you looking directly at me. That was insane. Give me a second because I'm about to crash out. And I don't know why this car's facing me, staring at me. Why are you parked directly facing me when the parking spaces aren't even angled like that? Like, are you joking? Get away from me. Guys, today's not my day, I fear. This is the thing. I am obviously recording something that people are going to see, but so why does it bother me that people are staring at me? Well, I'll tell you why. Because in real time, being perceived freaks me out. But being able to record this and put it up voluntarily, it's completely different. Anyway, oh my gosh, why can't I get past that? Okay, you know what? Whatever. So I just wanted to keep talking about like the process of losing yourself because I've dealt with this so many times and I think I know a thing or two. So what does losing yourself really mean? So when I say lose yourself, I don't mean disappearing or giving up on who you are. I mean those moments where the identity you thought you had just doesn't fit anymore. And it can feel like when your old routines stop working, or the people who were closest to you just aren't aligned with you anymore and you feel it. Or the dreams you thought were yours just feel empty. What you wanted in life doesn't feel like it's meant for you anymore. And this is hard for a lot of people to deal with because a lot of times someone can spend so much time and energy investing in a person or in a career, and then they decide that it's not right for them or that person's not right for them, and then they feel pressure to stay, and then they feel this ache in their soul that's like, why does it feel like I'm not living to my true self? And it's like, because you're not. But there's so many sort of things that are ingrained in our minds that make us feel like we're a failure if we, you know, change our major when we're already in our senior year, or break up with that person that they've been with for years and years and years. I say them, not me, because I've literally never been in a relationship more than a couple months, but besides the point. And in between that space where you're trying to figure out what you want and you're feeling that ache in your soul and people are giving you weird energy around you, that's when you start to feel lost, truly lost. And it's like you don't recognize yourself. But that's not the end of the story. That's when it's almost like an awakening energy. Have you ever had phases where you thought you knew exactly who you were and then life just rips that away? Like, you do the work that you're supposed to do, all the things that, I usually advocate for, which is usually traveling alone, doing things by yourself, having a creative outlet, doing shadow work, inner work, gaining so much life experience, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations in order to grow. And maybe it works, but one thing you don't realize is that life keeps happening. You can do things to grow, but the things you need to heal from will keep happening after that. Life keeps happening after that, and you need to do the work again. And then you realize it's like you don't just find yourself once and that's it. Life is a process of continually finding yourself, and that journey does not end. But when I felt myself losing myself again, I resisted it. And I thought, if I'm lost again, then something must be wrong with me. There's no way I didn't get it right the first time, especially because I came from a very low place. But in reality, losing myself was making room for a new version of me to emerge. But when you're lost, you're not bound by your old story anymore. There's freedom in that chaos, and it's uncomfortable, but it's also fertile ground where you can plant seeds. When you lose yourself, you stop clinging to the person you were and you start opening up to the person you're becoming. And that's when you find yourself, not in clinging to what you used to be, but in allowing yourself to evolve. Because transformation is one of, if not the most important part of being a human. So I learned some lessons from losing myself that I would like to share with you. So number one, identity is fluid. Who you are at 18, 30, 40, 50, it's not who you're going to be forever. Number two, discomfort is growth. Feeling lost isn't failure, it's a sign you're transitioning. Three, letting go is key. You cannot hold on to every version of yourself and expect to grow. Sometimes you need to release old versions of you the same way you release relationships that no longer suit you or no longer fit, things for you that don't resonate anymore. 4. Finding yourself is ongoing. It's not a one-time thing. You'll lose and find yourself again and again throughout life. And here's how to embrace the process. Here's what helps me. Stop rushing to figure it all out. Sit in the uncertainty. Sit in that uncomfortable feeling because it's trying to tell you something. Explore new things without pressure, such as hobbies, travel, friendships, and then reflect. But don't obsess over having all the answers because you're not going to have all the answers. And then trust that losing yourself isn't the end, it's a reset. So if you're questioning who you are or if life feels like it's stripped everything away, you're just in the process of transformation. You can't truly find yourself if you've never been willing to fully lose yourself and embrace the loss of self. Because it's in those raw and uncertain moments that the truest version of you starts to come alive. And I know that sounds insane and maybe a little cheesy, but trust, it happens to everybody. And I know I have a long ways to go. Please don't hear me say all these things and think that I have it all figured out, because I'm also in this process of I find myself, I lose myself, I find myself, life happens, I lose myself, I heal. It's the journey of life. That's really what it is. So I definitely don't have it all figured out either, but I just want to talk about this for some reason. So have you guys ever felt that? Like you just don't recognize yourself anymore? Have you been in those situations? Tell me about your experience. And what do you actually do when you feel lost? How have you handled that? Being lost doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're evolving. And it looks different for everybody. So you can't compare the journey of you finding yourself to the journey of others finding themselves. I don't know how many times I moved away from this light, but if I did, again, I'm so sorry. I know it's very overcast today and it's also fall, which is I'm so excited about, and there's all these colored leaves around me. And I know that sometimes fall can be very overcast, but I'm still in the spirit. I don't know if you remember in my other episode when I was talking about how I want to get back into exercise. Well, I found this app where it's like you dance to exercise, which really suits me very well because I love to dance and I hate how boring exercising feels to me. I sign up for this app, I put in all the modifications, and then I find out you have to pay. And it's like, why didn't you just tell me that from the beginning? Ain't nothing in this life free anymore, man. I can't even dance for free. Like, also, something that made me laugh the other day was that there's this pattern in my life where I'm always complaining slash sulking in this sadness of me not having friends. And I always say, like, I wish I had friends. Like, why don't I have friends? And then somebody had tried being my friend and they were messaging me. And I was like, why does this person keep messaging me? Like, that's so annoying. And I just find it funny because I always complain about not having friends. And then there's somebody very obviously trying to be my friend. And I'm like, why are you talking to me? What is that called? It's very self sabotage. I'm like that with guys as well sometimes, but we don't talk about boys on here, do we? I don't know. I'm also debating getting the new iPhone, which sounds insane for me because I have the iPhone 16 Plus, which I actually only got earlier this year. Sorry, there's another man staring at me. If you're a man and you ever see me in public, please don't stare at me unless you want me to crash out. Anyway, the camera quality looks a lot better, and since I filmed this on my phone, I think that might be a good idea because obviously the budget's very low. I don't have an actual camera. I mean, take a look at the setting, you know. What else do I want to talk about? You know, I started watching TMZ again. I haven't watched it in like 15 years, I think, but maybe 10 years, I don't know. I'm just a fan of how they operate, how they get all that information so quickly. Like the office and everything. That's so interesting to me. It's so efficient. It's just very interesting to me. I don't know. I'll listen to TMZ in the background when I'm trying to do my schoolwork. Which, by the way, my class, it's called Interplanetary Inquiry. I have a big goal question, and it is what frameworks are put in place regarding AI in space? Who's responsible if AI makes a mistake? What are the legalities regarding that? And I have to do all this research, all that jazz, and I just been using ChatGPT to write all that for me. And you want to know what's really interesting is that the topic is AI, the ethics of AI, and I'm using AI to tell me about the ethics of AI. Something about that is so funny. For academic legal purposes, I have never used ChatGPT for any academic assignment. I just want to put that out there, okay? So wish me luck for this class because I'm halfway through and I'm struggling. By the way, do y'all like my turtleneck today? It's been a minute since I talked about fashion, but y'all like my turtleneck? Well, guess what? I clipped the back. I don't know if you could see. Probably not because of the freaking glare. But I clipped the back of my turtleneck because it was super loose. But now that it's fall, it's turtleneck season, and you know me. I only exist in turtlenecks if the weather allows. I am a turtleneck queen, and I'd like to see somebody compete with me. Who owns more turtlenecks than me? Nobody. Who wears more turtlenecks than me? Nobody. Or maybe my mom. But I wear her turtlenecks, so y'all about to see me in turtlenecks like every episode now. So I feel like that's everything I wanted to touch on today. Let me know what you guys want to hear about for next week's podcast. I'll always take your recommendations because I don't really know what to talk about most of the time. There's normally a subject that really resonates with me that I want to talk about, but then other than that, I'm just... So yeah, I hope you guys have a good week, and I'll see you next week. Good luck.